Thinking about my childhood in Thailand, thinking about our identity as myself as a student, I felt like we were all expected to feel the same. We didn't have a voice, or we didn't even think about asking if we could have a voice.
When I was young, I always loved school, but I never liked sharing my own stories or creating my own stories. I never thought of myself as a creative person my whole life, and I feel like looking back, that had a lot to do with the rules that were around storytelling when I was in school.
I guess if we were to speak about like the first time that we encountered the notion of youth agency, it reminds me of when I was a kid and we did this project called About Me, but it was very limited and I felt like I was very kind of like closed in, and it seemed like the teacher was kind of checking off expectations.
I went to school in St. John, New Brunswick, and I feel like who I am and where I come from didn't become important to me until I left.
I still struggle. So with you guys, I'm sort of expected to act a certain way as a Canadian, but when I'm with my family, especially back home in Thailand, they have a different set of expectations. They're like, you can, like walk like that or act like this, you gotta sit like this, like a lady, and it's like I had to find a way to just be myself.
So if I'm thinking about identity and schools being a place where they kind of almost push an identity on you, I kind of felt like that a little bit when I was younger because of the fact that I did lose my dad at such a young age. They almost tried to like label me as, the girl who experienced something tragic.
Or should I impose my beliefs or how I grew up, my past experiences, and how will I empower the youth that I know here to be assertive and to find themselves?
So we think of our students as preparing them for life, but they're living it already.
Like you want to be unique and you want to feel empowered and you want to have that voice and you want to have your voice heard, right?
Digital platforms really allow youth to speak their own voice, and it elevates those underrepresented voices. We work with diverse populations, not all equally represented, and so that really allows them to get their story out there, and now they can say, I shared my story is out there, I matter, I don't have to wait for someone else to tell my story, I can tell it for myself.
For Canada too, talking about the First Nations or the Indigenous communities and how they're the youth are actually speaking out about the issues that have gone on for hundreds of years, and they're finally finding their voice, and they're able to, through the digital world, they're able to reach everyone, and they're able to actually tell their story from their perspective, not from someone else's perspective, right?
Maybe if I had, an iPhone back, when I was 10 and I recorded myself kind of explaining to my peers, that I had lost someone really close to me, that might have encouraged other people to do the same, or they would have maybe felt a sense of community because I was able to reach a wider audience.
What do we need to be as educators then? What do we need to focus on?
Well, so we were talking about bridging the divide. There's a huge divide around the world and in Canada in regards to access. So yes, the digital world allows us to elevate those voices, but that doesn't mean that everyone is in that space. And that's an unfair assumption for us to make as educators.
It's really that connection between economic status and literacy skills. Same in the past, if you couldn't read, you were lacking some sort of power, and if you can't navigate the digital, then you're also lacking power.
Yep.
And I think that's really surprising, and it's very important, and it's critical to think about that and look at maybe those divides in our own schools, right? When we're out to practicum or when we're teachers, to really look at that and think about how we're helping the youth around us kind of find power, I think it's through digital literacy skills that we're going to help them for the 21st century world.